Hello, I'm Simulator Deck and welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator. There, I got it out this time. We are at Brisbane Airport in Queensland. We finally made it, no thanks to Otto in the previous episode. Oh, Otto, my dude. Anywho, we are in Brisbane, the capital of Queensland in Australia, with a Qantas A320neo. Yes, it's the basic A320neo that's included with a Qantas livery, Qantas being the national flag carrier of Australia in terms of airlines. There's a link in the show notes in the description for where I downloaded this and many other skins that you've seen and that you will see over future episodes. Now today it's going to be something different. I was going to go back to general aviation, but because I've been thinking about making things a little bit easier and I've been thinking about how to make things a little bit more immersive and a little bit more realistic, I found a couple of mods that I'll be demonstrating on this episode, and they are from the FS2 crew, so from Flight Simulator 2 crew, Flight Simulator 2 crew, FS2 crew, and they are both related to where we are now. Now, I have mentioned in previous episodes, and you have seen in previous episodes, most notably episode 10, and I don't think we demonstrated it. We may have demonstrated it on episode 12. One of the mods is called Pushback Express, and that basically handles a lot of the pushback options and a lot of the ground service options, making things a lot easier, so you don't necessarily have to go through air traffic control like in the default. Default, you have to do everything via ATC, via, in this case, Brisbane Ground. That's not the way that it works in the real world, especially according to people who are actually in the industry, pilots, ground crew, and probably some ATC as well. So that's one mod that we'll be demonstrating, and the other mod that we'll be demonstrating is called Flight Crew A320. And what that basically does, it basically simulates the various flight crew on, as the name suggests on the tin, an A320. Both mods are payware, and they are both available on the FS2 crew website. They're, as of the time of recording, February 2021, they are the only products that FS2 crew have in terms of Microsoft Flight Simulator. They have been heavily involved in other flight simulators in the past. I have purchased both of these items. I have purchased them, downloaded them, installed them, and basically set them up, but I haven't actually used them yet, so we'll do that together. Now, I have a rather large screen. I'll just move that over there. I have a rather large screen. I've got a 49-inch screen, but I have all the action going on in the center, so where the aircraft is and where the ground services are at the moment. On this view, at least, on the exterior view, we have all of our gauges that you normally would have in exterior mode. So if I just move my screen briefly to the right for a moment, you'll see down the bottom there some of the gauges that are there. Those ones are mainly in relation to our altitude. And if I just zoom to the right for the moment, you'll see the ATC screen, the AI control rather, which helps us with checklists, radio comms, aircraft, and later on down the track when we get into the air, we can manage our radio comms there. Now those things will appear on the screen because they are part of Microsoft Flight Simulator. The two apps that I speak of, Pushback Express and Flight Crew, they are in and around on the screen on the AI control. They run over the top of Flight Simulator, so you won't see them. They are there. I'll just move the aircraft and the gangways, etc., back to the right position. So I can control a whole heap of things on screen, on my screen, but you can't necessarily see them. Even if I had them in the center of the real estate, you wouldn't be able to see the two mods that I have running. I am also trying a recorder, so I can be in the cockpit the whole time and then just record the replay of the aircraft in the air, but I haven't got that working yet, so I won't mention that at this stage. But there will be links to the two mods, Flight Crew A320 and Pushback Express, in the description. So our aircraft is cold and dark. Let's go in. I've been watching some videos, so let's go in to the aircraft. Let me find my mouse. Let's go into the aircraft. Now, one mistake that I was making is that I was giving Auto control in this situation, and the first thing Auto was doing was basically turning on the engine. Now we don't want to do that at this stage, so I have control of the aircraft. I'm managing comms and I'm managing the checklist. Now I haven't done any of this yet in terms of the two apps, so I don't know exactly how it's going to go, apart from the fact to make sure that it was working. So we have Auto next to us, our first officer. So we're going to start our before start checklist.
Before start checklist.
Cockpit prep.
Check.
Completed.
Completed. Gear pins and covers.
Removed.
Signs.
Hang on, I need to... let me see. Okay, signs.
On and auto.
ADAs.
Now at the moment I'm not checking half these things, but this is how you would do it if you were.
Nav.
Fuel quantity.
Set.
Takeoff data.
Set.
Baro ref.
2992. Set.
2992. Set. Down to the line.
Now with Flight Crew A320 you can have American voices, English US, English UK and Euro voices, no Australian voices, but when we get to Pushback Express you'll be able to actually hear Australian voices, which is cool.
Below the line.
Windows and doors.
Closed.
Closed. Beacon.
Let me see, where's our beacons? Do we want them on or off?
On.
Thrust levers.
Idle.
Parking brake.
On.
Before start checklist complete.
Okay, so we're not going to do our engine start checklist yet because we're not going to do that. One thing that I have been doing wrong is, as I mentioned, giving control of the aircraft to Auto in relation to starting up the aircraft, so I can talk to ATC, which I don't really need to talk to ATC at this stage. So we'll turn our batteries on, and this gives us our basic avionics and turns everything on. We're not anywhere near actually starting the engines at this stage. What we can do is, if we go outside, we'll start using Pushback Express. So one of the things we'll request is the jetway to be connected. Let's see how that works. So that may take some time. I don't know how much of this you'll actually okay, here comes the jetway. Now let's see if I can get it in the right spot. I may have chosen the wrong gate configuration in previous episodes. This is a small gate at Brisbane International with a A320. So that may be something that I need to do. And look at that, we actually have, if I go around, so we actually have the jetway connected properly. So an A320, we want to use a small gate. So that's good to know. Now the next thing, now we know, okay, so we'll see this next button. The aircraft main door, toggle that on or off. You can request air stairs, so let's see what happens there. So we'll see in a moment if we get any air stairs. So note that there's no communication between us and ATC as the base would have it. The next one will request a fuel truck. Now you can do this as hotkeys and also push to talk if you don't want to press the icons at the top of the screen. But having said that, we're using button controls at the moment. So we've requested a fuel truck. Now we know from previous experience that takes a while. Now our next button looks like baggage. Okay, so we'll have a look at the baggage. Now, with any of these vehicles, these are still the default vehicles. Further on down the track, I will be looking to modifying these default vehicles depending on where we're going. So far there's been absolutely zero communication with ATC because we don't need to, but if you want to simulate closer to how it would happen in the real world, this is what happens. So as before, the conveyor belt ramp is being set up. So it will be fun to see if it only loads the first carriage, if you like, or the first trolley of the baggage train, if you want to call it that, because that is one thing that happens at the moment by default, and this could still happen default. What this is doing is removing the need to involve ATC, almost said ARTC, that's a different story altogether, to contact ATC to get all this done. And it looks like, yeah, it's just going to drive off. Okay. Next thing we're going to request is, what's that? Power supply. So at the moment we are running on batteries. So there's our power supply truck. So we should have power connected shortly. This should be catering, I believe. Okay, so if we zoom around again. Okay, so there's the catering truck. Again, default vehicle, but again, we don't need to talk to ATC. Default truck, default options. Apparently there is some work in progress in relation to improving default ground control, ground services rather. But I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything like that. But this is a massive improvement, which means we don't necessarily have to talk to ATC. So at the moment it is the default actions, although having said that, the catering van does seem to be up there a bit longer than normal. No, it's coming down again. We'll request the baggage come back while we do that. So the baggage truck is going away. Now there's a button here that says inform ramp agent that you will be ready soon. Now I don't know what the time frame of that is. You know, what sort of period you have to allow to say that, you know, we'll be ready soon. There's one next to it that says ask ramp agent to confirm ground checks are complete. And you can pressurize the hydraulics. Make this optional request after the doors are closed. And then press to trigger the pre-flight events. Press again to fast forward the time down. So, and then next to that is a push. So all of these so far are pre-pushback. And then there's a pushback button, and then when we push back, once we get all of the services clear, passengers loaded, etc., well then we can go into the pushback menu, and we will do that a little bit later. So let's see what happens if we press to trigger the pre-flight events. Okay, so what you can do, instead of pressing all these buttons pressing all these buttons after one after the other, you can press the pre-flight events button. Press that, you've got 25 minutes. You can press it again to fast forward the time down. Still waiting for our fuel truck, by the way. So the fuel truck may indeed come because we've triggered the pre-flight events. Now there's another couple of buttons to be aware of in terms of pushback, but we'll get to those when we actually get to push back. Now our engines still aren't started because we haven't started the pushback procedure yet. Still waiting for the fuel truck. They've been loading everything, so probably the thing to do to start with would be just to press the pre-checklist, the pre-flight button. Now all of that with the ground services is via Pushback Express, so it does more than the tin suggests. Now if we go back to flight crew, what we can do, there's various buttons on here.
Let's start setting up, shall we?
Okay.
So what you can do to start things off, now I'm experimenting and doing a bit of learning as we go. What you can do, on Pushback Express, you can press the button that says, the one right on the right hand side, which is your pre-event, and then you can go to pre-event. After you've done your initial checklist in the aircraft, you can initiate the pre-flight events routine, and that started. There's 30 minutes to go for that. Now there's a PA button. So what the captain can do, or the first officer can do, there's a whole heap of buttons that they can use preset. So for instance,
Ladies and gentlemen, hello to you from the flight deck. This is the captain speaking. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to you aboard our flight today. Lovely to have you with us, and nice to see some of our frequent flyers as well. Just a note about our seatbelt policy. Whilst the signs are illuminated, please do ensure that your seatbelt is fastened. Once we get airborne, I do anticipate we'll be able to turn the seatbelt sign off, at which point you'll be free to get up and move about the cabin. However, we would advise that whilst you are seated, you keep your seatbelt fastened and visible just in case of any unexpected lumps and bumps. Have an excellent cabin crew team on board with us today. They shortly will be showing you a video briefing you on the safety features and procedures for this Airbus aircraft. Would ask that even if you are a frequent flyer, you do pay close attention to that briefing, as every aircraft is slightly different. Thanks very much once again. I'll leave you in peace for now and hand you over to the cabin crew for that demonstration, and we'll be on our way very shortly. Thank you.
so that is the PA button. You've got several buttons: welcome, departure delay, your cabin crew, arm slides and cross check, returning to the gate because of a technical problem, takeoff delay, you're returning to the gate because of a rejected takeoff, you rejected takeoff but you're continuing, passengers in the cabin, please be seated.
Passengers and cabin crew, please be seated and fasten your seatbelts. Thank you.
Approaching time to descend, go around divert, go around no divert, cabin crew disarm slides and cross check, and then some non-normal operations. Pursuit to the cockpit, cabin and passengers please remain seated, passengers evacuate and crew at action stations. So that's all PA announcements from the flight deck. There's also another button. So we'll get rid of the now the next one, there's another button to talk to the lead flight attendant, the cabin services supervisor, or whatever they call themselves, in relation to the aircraft. We can go through those a little bit later. So what we can do, we just for the sake of it, we'll speed up. Hang on, I need to get rid of that.
Hi, how can I help you?
Okay, so what we've done now, we've called the head flight attendant, the cabin services supervisor, the purser, whatever you want to call them, and there's different buttons. Departure delay, request drinks, request food, top of descent, divert, arrive early, arrive late, hold, and a missed approach.
Alright, could you bring us some water, please?
Okay, I'll bring the drinks up in a minute.
And then in a little moment, she'll arrive at the cabin.
Hi guys, here are the drinks.
Thank you.
And so there's various buttons there, but we'll leave the purser alone for the moment. Now our next checklist that we're not going to worry about at the moment is the engine starts checklist. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fast forward the events until about 5 minutes to go on both Pushback Express and also on Flight Crew A320.
Hi, the security and safety checks are all done. Are we good to start boarding?
Yes, you can start boarding.
Okay.
Hi guys, here's the load sheet for you.
Thanks.
No problem, have a safe flight.
Oh, how good's this? Seriously? So they're about to load some more luggage up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board our flight today. As you locate your assigned seats, please place your smaller items under the seat in front of you to provide more room for larger items in our overhead compartments. If you need assistance, contact the flight attendant. If you are unable to accommodate any item in the cabin, please bring it to the boarding door and we will check it for you. Also review the safety instruction in your seat pocket. If you are seated at an exit seat, also review the exit seating criteria.
So what we will do on a, as I zoom in rather than out, what we will do on a future episode is start the ramp procedure just with those two buttons, and then we'll just let the whole process just go in real time as some more bags are being loaded. And again, the bags are just going on one at a time, so we'll just let that time run out. How many minutes have we got there? 3 minutes there. I need to get the time.
Hey guys,
in
all
sync.
packs are on board. Are we clear to close?
Yep.
Thanks. Let me know if you need anything.
So we should have about 2 minutes to go in each sequence. So it's important to get the times worked out. Press both buttons, have both apps running. The jetway is disappearing. So the jetway and the doors are closed. About 2 to 3 minutes in relation to both the flight crew and also Pushback Express. So we won't have to do each of the steps next time we do this. So what we're waiting on now, as we've got about 2 minutes remaining for both the flight crew and, both the flight crew and Pushback Express. We'll see if the pushback automatically happens, or if I have to specifically request it. I think time will just expire, and then the tug will come and connect up, and then we'll go to the next phase. So we've got 1 minute remaining on each on both flight crew and also Pushback Express. So we'll see what happens when time expires. We haven't started the engines yet because there's no need, because we're about to get a pushback. I'm just trying to get the best camera option for pushback. Probably that. Okay, 54 seconds on Pushback Express. Time has expired for the air crew. So we'll go to passenger announcements.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello to you from the flight deck. This is the captain speaking. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to you aboard our flight today. Lovely to have you with us, and nice to see some of our frequent flyers as well. Just a note about our seatbelt policy. Whilst the signs are illuminated, please do ensure that your seatbelt is fastened. Once we get airborne, I do anticipate we'll be able to turn the seatbelt sign off, at which point you'll be free to get up and move about the cabin. However, we would advise that whilst you are seated, you keep your seatbelt fastened and visible just in case of any unexpected lumps and bumps. Have an excellent cabin crew team on board with us today. They shortly will be showing you a video briefing you on the safety features and procedures for this Airbus aircraft. Would ask that even if you are a frequent flyer, you do pay close attention to that briefing, as every aircraft is slightly different. Thanks very much once again. I'll leave you in peace for now and hand you over to the cabin crew for that demonstration, and we'll be on our way very shortly. Thank you.
Okay, for some reason it's put the jetway back, so we'll request that it get removed. So that's being removed now. So we'll just do the
cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We will be ready shortly.
Okay, I will hold.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
Confirm all ground checks are complete and we are cleared to pressurize the hydraulics.
All ground checks are complete and you are cleared to pressurize the hydraulics.
Okay, so Pushback Express, you will get Australian voices. So let's start our pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We are ready for pushback and engine start.
Roger. Release the parking brakes, please.
Alright, so we need to go into the cockpit. Hang on a sec.
Park brakes released.
Pushing back.
Okay, so we'll go outside. We've released the park brakes. And we'll ask to go initially straight back. So the tug's just getting into position. So now we're starting to go back because our initial command was straight back. Now I'm going to say...
You are clear behind and you can start your engines at your discretion.
Okay. Well, actually, we'll go right, go right. Yep, there we go. So all of this... we haven't had to talk to ATC yet. So we're just getting pushed back. And it's amazing how good pushback can be if you've got your park brake off. Okay, so we'll just straighten up now. And we'll get the pushback stopped. Okay, so we'll wait until... Okay, so the tug is going away. We'll handle... we'll do the engine start actions checklist now. If we can. Oh, we need to start the engine first. Okay, so we'll give auto control of the aircraft. Okay, so he's starting up the engines. Okay, maybe I... Okay, so we'll try that now. I'll just have it in a wrong...
Starting engine 2. Starting engine 1.
Okay, I think we need to talk to ATC.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board today. This is your purser speaking. Please direct your attention to the cabin crew for important safety information. There is an instruction card in your seat pocket that illustrates the safety equipment on board this aircraft. Regulations require compliance with this information as well as all crew instructions, the lighted information signs and posted placards. Fasten your seatbelt by inserting the metal tip into the buckle. Tighten by pulling on the belt. To release your seatbelt, lift the metal flap on the buckle. It is our policy that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times while seated. Doors are clearly marked with exit signs and instructions for door operation. Each door is equipped with an escape slide.
Brisbane Ground Qantas 069er with Alpha request taxi for takeoff departing straight out.
May be behind you. In an emergency, lights will illuminate the aisle. The cabin is pressurized. If there is a loss of cabin pressure, a panel will open and oxygen mask will appear. Remain seated with your seatbelt fastened and pull a mask towards you to start the flow of
short runway
oxygen.
19er left by a taxiway Foxtrot Alpha Echo Qantas 069er.
Cover your nose and mouth with a mask. Place the elastic band around your head and tighten by pulling on the end. Secure your own mask before assisting others. Your life jacket is located under your seat. Tighten the straps and once outside the aircraft, pull on the tabs to inflate your jacket. If the jacket fails to inflate, use the tube placed near the neck. Your jacket is equipped with a light that will automatically illuminate in water. This is a non-smoking flight. Smoking is not permitted in the cabin or in the lavatories. Cabin lights will now be turned off. Reading light buttons are located over your head. Thank you very much for your attention.
Cabin crew, arm slides and cross-check, please.
So we've done that.
After start checklist.
Anti-ice.
Set.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Pitch trim.
26% set.
Rudder trim.
0.
After start checklist complete.
Flight control check. Clear left side.
Clear right side.
Brake check.
Pressure 0.
Certainly not a checklist that you have to go through.
Before takeoff checklist.
Flight controls.
Checked.
Checked. Flight instruments.
Checked.
Checked. Briefing.
Confirmed.
Flap setting.
Config 1 plus F.
Config 1 plus F. V1, VR, V2, flex temp.
V1 130, VR 140, V2 150.
V1 130, VR 140, V2 150, ATC.
Set.
ECAM memo.
Take off no blue.
Down to the line.
Below the line.
Cabin crew, be seated for takeoff. Takeoff runway.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. Cabin crew.
Advised.
Engine mode selector.
Normal.
Pax.
on.
Before takeoff checklist complete.
So we might as well hear the ATIS, the Automatic Terminal Information System, while we're here. Now this is from in-game.
Brisbane Airport Information Alpha 0200 Zulu. Wind 25 Niner at tree. Visibility Niner. Sky condition clear. Temperature 15. Dew point 13. Altimeter 29.902. ILS runway 19 left in use. Landing is departing runway 19 left. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact. You have Alpha. Brisbane.
So we are on our way to our departure runway. So we're just having a look outside. There is a Brisbane City scenery pack like the one that I downloaded for Sydney. I'm not going to install that yet. I just wanted to make sure that these two were working. So the checklists are via Flight Crew. We have nothing to do now with Pushback Express until we land again. So ATC is in game as per normal. The checklist that you can hear is via Flight Crew A320. So we've done that.
Hi, how can I help you?
Well, we don't really need to talk to her at the moment because there's nothing there just to say, hey, we're ready. Are you ready? So until very recently, Brisbane only had one runway. They've now got two. Brisbane is also relatively close to the Gold Coast and it is the capital of Queensland. We're not going to do a massive flight because I just wanted to show you the two apps concerned, Flight Crew and also Pushback Express. If you're just using general aviation, for instance, you don't even have to have them running. Or if you're not going to role play your gate sequences, or if you're not in an A320, you don't have to. You get Flight Simulator running first, and then you run these two applications over the top. Is basically the way that that works. Now, it would be nice, and maybe it's in progress, I don't know, if they had a similar thing for the Boeing aircraft as well. That would be nice. But Otto has the ship, so what we might do is climb and then come pretty much straight back down. So we might as well start our takeoff actions when we get a little bit closer. Our takeoff actions ready checklist. We haven't got clearance yet. So what we can do, we have to hold short of runway 19 Lima via taxiways Foxtrot, Alpha and Echo. So a lot of these things are by trial and error, and I learnt by trial and error that with a A320 you should use a small gate at one of these airports, and the airway bridge actually works as it should, because I have tried them at medium gates and small gates, didn't quite work, so we'll do these ones at small gates and it works. So it just adds this little extra bit of immersion, and considering that I'd only just downloaded and installed these today at the time of recording, and I managed to basically get through okay. There's a couple of things trial and error, but overall we're okay. So we are about at our hold point, so we should be holding short of this runway here. Let's see if we actually do. Okay, we're holding here, so we'll do our takeoff actions ready checklist.
Ready.
Takeoff. Manflex, SRS, runway, autothrust blue.
Check.
Now we haven't done our takeoff roll yet, so we'll request takeoff clearance from Brisbane Tower, Visual Flight Rules, VFR.
Brisbane Tower, Qantas 069er ready at runway 19er left, departing straight out. Qantas 069er cleared for takeoff runway 19er left, departing straight out approved.
Oh, they've even got a stop button if you reject your takeoff. That's cool.
Qantas 069er, did you hear my last transmission?
Oh yeah, forgot to acknowledge that.
Cleared for takeoff runway 19er left, Qantas 069er.
So in a moment we'll start our takeoff roll checklist. Now I'm actually role playing that we are actually doing all of this. So runway 19 left, cleared for takeoff, departing straight out approved. So we'll start our takeoff roll shortly. Okay, we're about to start our takeoff roll. And we can start our takeoff roll.
Set. .100 knots.
Check.
Okay, so I've pressed the button.
V1.
And now it's reacting to what we're
Rotate.
doing. Oh,
Positive climb.
how good's this? Seriously. So the next thing that we should be doing is gear up.
Gear up.
Gear up.
Overspeed. Overspeed.
Auto already?
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
We're going to let auto.
Qantas 069er, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
Brisbane Tower, Qantas 069er, frequency change.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
Brisbane approach Qantas 069er is type Airbus A20 at 5 miles southwest of Brisbane, 500 feet. Request clearance to transition Charlie airspace.
Overspeed. Overspeed.
Qantas 069er, Brisbane approach. Squawk 5737.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
Squawk 5737, Qantas 069er.
Overspeed. Overspeed. Overspeed.
Qantas 069er, radar contact 5 miles west of Brisbane, 500 feet. Clear through the Charlie airspace. Maintain on navigation.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
Clear through the Charlie airspace, Qantas 069er.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
So now we're going to
Overspeed.
announce for the passengers and cabin to be seated.
Overspeed. Overspeed. Overspeed.
Passengers and cabin crew, please be seated and fasten your seatbelts. Thank you. Passengers and cabin crew, please be seated and fasten your seatbelts. Thank you.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is the captain. We've identified a small technical issue with the aeroplane, so in order to get that checked out, I'm going to take the aeroplane back to the gate to be looked at by an engineer. During that time, I would ask that you remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until I've turned the seatbelt sign off. That is the only indication that it will be safe to get up and move about the cabin. Once we're back on the gate, I'll be back in touch with a little bit more information once we're parked. For now, though, do sit back, relax, apologise for any inconvenience caused. Thank you. This is the captain. Passengers and crew remain seated and await further instructions.
Brisbane approach Qantas 069er, 3 miles southeast of Brisbane. Request IACR to Brisbane, ready to copy.
Qantas 069er is cleared to Brisbane Airport as filed. Squawk 5737.
Qantas 069er cleared to Brisbane Airport as filed. Squawk 5737.
Qantas 069er, read back correct. Radar contact 600 feet. Altimeter to niner decimal niner, 2 turn right heading 280, resume on navigation climb and maintain 8,000 feet.
Turn right heading 280, resume on navigation climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Qantas 069er.
Qantas 069er, you are 7 miles southeast. Keep speed below 185 knots. Expect ILS runway 19er left approach via Bedford transition. Clear to Bedsville.
5 knots, expect ILS runway 19er left approach via Betso transition, cleared to Betso Qantas 069er.
So this is just for the sake of the exercise, so we can return the aircraft to the ground.
Set standard.
Standard, cross-checked, passing flight level 047. Now.
Check. After takeoff, climb checklist.
Landing gear.
Up.
Flaps.
Retracted.
Paps.
On.
Down to the line.
Below the line.
Baro ref.
Standard set.
Standard set. After takeoff checklist complete.
And you can fast forward
Qantas 069er descent and maintain 4,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet, Qantas 069er.
So because we're not doing the whole flight, we can use the approach checklist now. We can skip the ones we don't need because we're not going to cruise altitude.
Approach checklist.
Briefing.
Confirmed.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Baro ref.
2992 set.
2992 set. Minimum.
Set.
Set. Engine mode selector.
Normal.
Approach checklist complete.
So our next mode is landing actions flaps 1.
Flaps 1.
Check the speed.
Flaps 1.
Check the speed.
So we're going too high for flaps 1. So we can wait for that one. But what Flight Crew A320 is getting us to learn the various checklists and the various workflows that you need to do at various stages of the flight. Because we weren't going to cruise, I was able to fast forward through that and just go straight to the approach checklist, which we've done.
Qantas 069er, you are 8 miles northeast of Brisbane. Contact Brisbane Tower on 118.0 when inbound on the approach.
Tower on 118.0, Qantas 069er.
Landing checklist.
Cabin crew.
Advised.
Auto thrust.
Speed.
Auto brake.
Low.
ECAM memo.
Landing no blue.
Landing checklist complete.
Brisbane Tower, Qantas 069er, 10 miles northeast inbound ILS runway 19er left approach. Qantas 069er, Brisbane Tower. Cleared ILS runway 19er left approach. Altimeter 29er.9er to wind 259er entry. Cleared ILS runway 19er left approach, Qantas 069er.
Checked. Continue. Continue.
Okay, so the next checklist we have to do is our landing roll checklist, but we obviously can't do that until we land.
Qantas 069er, cleared to land runway 19er left. Wind 259er at tree.
Cleared to land runway 19er left, Qantas 069er.
Passengers and cabin crew, please be seated and fasten your seatbelts. Thank you.
So we're now coming in. Now I could have done all this in the in cabin view. Oops, if I adjust my in cabin view. We're looking good. Otto has the ship. Let's see what sort of landing he does. We'll just remind the passengers to for the seatbelt signs.
1000.
Checked.
Alright, we'll go outside again because I need to judge Otto's landing. Come on, Otto, you can do it. You can do it, Otto. Good luck, Otto. We're all counting on you.
20. Retard right.
All right.
Spoilers. Reverse green. Decel. $70 knots.
Qantas 069er, turn next taxiway.
Brisbane Tower, Qantas 069er would like to cancel IFR.
Probably should have done that before, but we're going to do it now.
Qantas 069er, IFR flight plan is cancelled. Maintain VFR. You are still cleared to land runway 19er left. Qantas 069er, exit runway when able.
Otto, that was pretty good, my dude.
Cabin crew, disarm slides and cross-check.
Qantas 069er, exit runway when able.
We're working on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the conclusion of our flight. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign and the aircraft starts safely. This will be your indication that it is safe to move around the cabin, gather your belongings and disembark. We'd like to thank you for flying with us today. We appreciate your
Qantas
business and
069er, turn next taxiway.
Thank you.
Qantas 069er, contact ground on 121.7.
21.7 Qantas 069er. Brisbane ground Qantas 069er request taxi to the gate.
Qantas 069er, taxi to General Aviation, parking by taxiway Charlie Foxtrot.
Taxiing to General Aviation, parking via taxiway Charlie Foxtrot Qantas 069er.
After landing checklist.
Flaps.
Retracted.
Spoilers.
Disarmed.
APU.
Start.
Radar.
Off.
Predictive wind shear system.
Off.
After landing checklist complete.
So our last checklist that we have is our parking checklist. Now we actually selected to go back to the same gate in which we arrived. So we'll see where it ends up taking us. In a way, this does suit the role play, because we did have a an incident that meant that we had to come back. So maybe that's why they've suggested going to a GA parking and not an actual gate, because they want to try and get us back up in the air. Or maybe we are going to the same gate. Let's wait and see. Oh, we got a Is that supposed to be a follow me car? Oh no, he's just cruising around. I thought he might have been one of those follow me cars, but obviously not. So there's our A380 Victor Hotel X-Ray Zulu Oscar. So on this particular model, I can't actually use my Echo Romeo Kilo. Oh, so we are actually going to a GA parking area. Maybe because we had our technical issue. Can we zoom in a bit more? There's our ramp marshal. Just guiding us in. Just inching us in. And preparing to shut us down. Might as well start our parking checklist.
Parking checklist.
APU bleed.
On.
Engines.
Off.
Seat belts.
Wow.
Taxi light off.
Oh, so we need to go back to the parking checklist. We're still inching forward. And just got the signal. And we just got the signal to shut down, which Otto is doing now. Our pushback express options have come back. We'll request the air stairs. We'll see what happens because we need to get somebody up into the cockpit. So we've requested the stairs. We'll see if they arrive. Parking checklist.
APU bleed.
Oh, that's the end of our scenario. So we couldn't get to see if the air stairs arrived. But overall, that went very, very well for our first test of that particular system. I've been Simulator Dirk. You have been wonderful. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.